Hey everyone, welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. Settle in, because tonight's story has the entire fandom buzzing and the tabloids scrambling for answers. Before we dive into the whirlwind, hit subscribe and share this video so you don't miss any twist that follows. Now, let's talk about the sight that sent a shock through the gossip world. Gökberk Yildirim and Cemre Arda, shoulder to shoulder at Istanbul airport, moving with that familiar, unforced elegance that says they didn't come here by accident. It happened in the kind of soft afternoon light that makes everything look cinematic. They walked in sync without trying, their steps quietly matched the way their energies seemed to mirror each other. A few travelers noticed them first, then a whisper turned into a murmur, and the murmur into a rush as cameras began to lift. Gökberk spotted the lenses and offered one of those small, steady smiles that never gives too much away. Cemre glanced up with calm, warm eyes and a composed nod, and for a heartbeat it felt like we were watching a scene from a film, only no director called cut. They didn't make a spectacle of any of it. They checked in together, stood side by side while the screens flickered flight numbers, leaned toward each other as they spoke, then drifted apart for a moment only to find their way back to the same line. Their outfits seemed to hum the same note, his effortless, relaxed layers in neutral tones, her minimalist and graceful look that caught the light without shouting for attention. It wasn't just their clothes that matched, it was the tempo. A shared rhythm that raised 1,000 questions. Was it a business trip carefully kept quiet? A weekend getaway hidden in plain sight? Or something far more interesting, something no one has mapped yet? The truth remained tucked behind their serene expressions. They scrolled through their phones, exchanged quick smiles, and kept moving. And the more naturally they behaved, the louder the speculation became. No one at the terminal could pin down a destination. Rumors started the way rumors always do. A half-heard gate number, an overheard airline detail, a friend of a friend who swore they saw a boarding pass. Some insisted the pair were set to fly abroad for a hush-hush meeting about a series or a film. With the surge of Turkish stars stepping into international productions lately, the theory didn't just make sense, it practically glowed. Imagine it, a prestige project with strong global ambitions, and at its center, a duo whose chemistry is already a conversation. Whispers said the meeting had been in the works for weeks, maybe months, with producers keen on a package that could light up an overseas platform. Others pushed a softer narrative. What if it wasn't business at all? What if the trip was simply a pause, two artists slipping out of the city's roar to catch their breath? Cemre has hinted in recent interviews that she's been craving time for herself, a chance to step back and just feel the season. And Gökberk has always been open about his love for nature, for places where the clock seems to stretch. Put those two sentiments together and the picture changes. No contracts, no key meetings, just a brief escape from set life, where days can blur and nights arrive too quickly. The press certainly tried to pry answers from them at the airport, but neither bit. A few polite smiles, the kind that close a door without seeming rude, and then they glided past the questions as if the inquiries were missed. No social media breadcrumbs followed either, no sudden updates, no cryptic captions, no wink of a photo to confirm anything. It was the silence that spoke the loudest. Fans flooded timelines anyway, trading clues like digital detectives, cross-referencing flight times, destinations, and recent sightings to guess where they were headed and why. Same project? Secret event? New surprise? The comments flew faster than their plane. If this was coincidence, it was the most carefully crafted coincidence anyone's seen in a while. They didn't just arrive at the same time, they moved like a plan had been sketched and agreed upon. Gökberk's posture was easy and unbothered, yet his eyes scanned the room now and then, like a seasoned traveler who knows when attention is gathering. Cemre carried a stillness that suggested choice rather than chance, a quiet confidence that said she knew exactly how to hold the room without inviting the storm. When you put those signals together, what you get isn't chaos, it's intent. There's also the clock to consider. Both of them are between demanding shoots, slipping through a short window that opened almost simultaneously. How often does that happen? Industry chatter says the timing aligns with a prestigious event abroad. One of those private gatherings where the guest list is a mix of festival names, producers, and a few carefully selected actors who might anchor the next wave of projects. Lately, Turkish talent has been everywhere on international stages, and the crowd at those gatherings is getting very selective. An invitation for both of them? That doesn't sound random. It sounds like a room waiting for two people to walk in together. And yet, the softer scenario isn't going away. Maybe they're chasing a quiet coast, a mountain breeze, a place where no one knows their schedules or their story. Cemre once said she wanted to create space to hear herself think. Gökberk has talked about the healing of silence, the strength you get from stepping back. A retreat would fit both. That would also explain their decision to keep their lips sealed at the airport. When a surprise is sweetest, you don't unwrap it under fluorescent lights with microphones pointed at your face. In the hours after the first photos surfaced, the narrative only thickened. They looked undeniably relaxed. There was no rush, no frantic juggling of bags, nothing fumbled. The conversation between them at passport control was brief but close, like two people sharing an anchor in a crowded sea. Their smiles were quick, private, intentional. Their body language whispered of comfort, trust, and something unspoken that made even the terminals seem warmer. Some sources swear this moment has been coming for months. They say the pair kept showing up in the same conversations, mentioned by the same producers, the same casting teams, the same event coordinators. The idea of them sharing a screen sent certain corners of the industry into a low, persistent hum. But none of that is confirmed, professionally or personally. And that void is exactly where gossip thrives. Every silence becomes a canvas. Every small glance becomes a monument. One camp believes this could be the opening chapter of a project that pushes both their careers into a new stratosphere. It's becoming more common for early meetings to happen outside the country, especially for titles meant to cross borders from day one. Picture it, Gökberk's grounded intensity meeting Cemre's luminous poise, a series carved for international audiences, with scenes shot in cities that look like postcards and alleys that feel like secrets. The rumor mills are running hot on this one because, frankly, it just fits. Another camp is convinced the story is simpler, more human, and maybe even more beautiful. Two artists worn thin by long nights and relentless lights decide to disappear for a heartbeat. No entourage, no PR spin, no spotlight. They didn't hide, but they didn't flaunt. They moved like people who've made peace with being seen without offering themselves up for dissection. Sometimes real life looks less like a scandal and more like a quiet choice. Fans, of course, can't sit still. They've already started linking possible destinations, comparing sightings, and even digging up old statements for clues. Will they post the same view? Will they use the same caption style? Will we hear from them the minute they land? The theories kept stacking higher as the hours passed, and the threads kept growing longer. Here's what we can say for certain. The photographs from that airport are going to linger. They're clean, unguarded, and they glow because nothing about them feels forced. We might not know the purpose of this trip yet, but the tiniest update from either of them could flip the entire narrative on its head. A single line, a single image, and everything shifts. There was one more detail that has people talking: they boarded the same flight. That fact alone knocked out the "just a chance encounter" story. Side by side, they walked through that last narrow funnel of the jet bridge with a measured calm, like they'd agreed long ago to keep their steps light. A nearby passenger said the two shared a quiet laugh before disappearing down the aisle, and that might be the most important clue of all: the sound of ease in the middle of the noise. Watch Gökberk closely in the clips and you'll see a pattern: relaxed shoulders, careful eyes. He isn't worried, he's aware. Cemre's style, meanwhile, told a story without speaking. Her lines were clean, her colors soft, her movements composed. There are stars who use airports like stages and drag the spotlight with them. These two seemed to let the spotlight come if it must, but didn't lift a hand to invite it. That restraint is a choice. That confidence is its own headline. Timing is everything. Both of them had a break carved out at nearly the exact same moment, a rarity in a world where schedules collide more often than they align. Insiders suggest an elite event abroad could be the magnet that drew them into the same weekend. Turkish actors have been appearing more consistently at these international gatherings, and the ripple effects back home have been powerful: new partnerships, wider audiences, bolder stories. If the invitation was real, it might be the hinge on which the next chapter turns. Then again, imagine the other possibility: a hush kept for the sake of peace. Cemre, looking for a sliver of quiet that belongs only to her. Gökberk, craving open air and a place where the horizon runs far enough to clear the mind. The kind of trip you take not to announce anything but to remember who you are when the world isn't watching. When the press asked them to open the gift early, they smiled and declined. Nothing to see here, for now. At this point, the online fandom has turned research into an art form. They're analyzing everything: the cut of their jackets, the shape of their carry-ons, the subtlety of their expressions. Some swear they caught the reflection of a gate number in a photo. Others say the airline logo was visible for a second if you paused the clip just right. Whether any of that holds up doesn't seem to matter. The chase is part of the thrill. Industry commentators can't help themselves either. They're floating the theory that this is the crucial first step toward a project built for a global platform. Those pre-production gatherings overseas are becoming the place where chemistry tests happen and hallway conversations and agreements are forged with a handshake over an unplanned coffee. The math is simple. Pair a compelling lead with a luminous co-star, aim the camera at the world, and let the story travel farther than a single city ever could. It's easy to see why this possibility refuses to fade. But there's also a romance to the quieter reading of events, and it isn't only about feelings. It's about respect, for craft, for privacy, for the idea that not every chapter needs an audience as it's being written. Their modesty stood out. They didn't duck the cameras, but they didn't wave them closer either. They didn't sprint, and they didn't pose. They moved like people who trust the story to catch up when it's ready. So where does that leave us tonight? With 1,000 guesses and one perfect image, two celebrated actors, at ease with each other and with the moment, letting the day carry them to a gate that could lead anywhere. Maybe we'll wake up to a photo from a festival step and repeat, all glitter and flash. Maybe we'll see a horizon line from a quiet balcony with a caption about rest. Maybe there will be nothing at all until they return, and the silence will do the talking for them. Until then, we wait. We scroll. We refresh. We listen for the first ping of an update, for the first breadcrumb that makes everything make sense. Whether this is about work, about warmth, or about weaving both together, one thing is undeniable. Those airport frames have already entered the hall of unforgettable sightings. They won't fade quickly. And when the truth comes, because it always does, it might be a single sentence that turns rumor into memory. Until that moment lands, we'll keep our eyes open and our questions ready. You're watching Secrets Behind the Stars, and if you enjoyed being part of this unfolding mystery, don't forget to subscribe and share. The next clue could drop any minute, and when it does, we'll be here to tell you every last detail.